A very good morning to you and welcome to London. It is Friday, the 16th of January, and the time here in the capital, 7 o'clock GMT. My name's Juliette Foster and you're watching This Day Live. The top stories we're following this morning. Belgian police killed 2 people and arrest a third during anti-terror raids against suspected Islamist extremists. Prosecutors say the men were just hours away from launching a series of major attacks. Pope Francis says you can't make fun of faith. The pontiff said there should be limits to freedom of expression after the publication of the controversial Charlie Hebdo cartoons. Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan makes a surprise visit to the country's insurgent-hit northeast. He met soldiers injured in the fighting against Boko Haram and spoke to people left homeless by the violence. And it's the awards season in Hollywood. We take a look at the winners from last night's Critics' Choice Awards as Tinseltown prepares for the countdown to this year's Oscars. Well, I'm joined in the studio by the journalist Paul Martin. Now, he reported on the revolution at the time and he's been following the story ever since. Paul, a very good morning to you. Those of us who remember those events, we remember him as a dictator, the man who left behind this poisonous legacy. And yet, it's also worth remembering that there was a time when the West certainly felt that they could do business with him because, as the report illustrated, he was a maverick. He didn't follow the Soviet line.
Yes, they not only thought they could do business.
That's that time in the morning when we take a look at some of the stories making the front pages of today's international newspapers. And joining me in the studio for a look at the headlines is the writer and blogger Jen Smith and Vernal Scott, who's a writer and diversity consultant. A very good morning to both of you. Jen, let's start with you. You've gone for the Independent, that's the British newspaper. And the headline, well, illustrated with a picture, in fact, primate suspect, meet Sandra, the non-human person, whose landmark legal victory could set a beastly precedent. But let's return to the top story that we're following here on This Day Live, the fact that France is holding a day of mourning after the horrific attack on Wednesday in which 12 people were killed at the offices of the satirical French newspaper Charlie Hebdo. 8 of those people who were killed were actually journalists. And breaking news coming through, in fact, that several people, according to news reports, have been arrested as part of the investigations into that attack. Well, joining me live from the French capital, Paris, is Arise News' special correspondent John Cookson. And John, what's the latest where you are? What are you hearing? Now, most people have heard of the legendary opera singers Luciano Pavarotti, Maria Callas, Dame Joan Sutherland, Jessie Norman, the list goes on. Well, a new name is about to join that distinguished panel. Omobello is a French-Nigerian soprano whose singing has won her legions of fans and led to sell-out performances at some of the world's leading opera venues, including London's Royal Albert Hall. And as if that wasn't enough, Omo is also a goodwill ambassador for the humanitarian peace organisation Rotary International. Not bad, considering that she originally wanted to be a cell biologist. Well, Omo now joins me in the studio. But before we meet her, let's hear her in action. Omobello, welcome. You were about to say something before we cut back to you in the studio. You couldn't believe yourself there.
Well, yes, it brought back a very lovely memory.